How does that sound as a starting point?
Sounds good. Sounds great.
Now, what you just heard was a ChatGPT advanced voice mode prompt asking me what something sounded like after they told me, gave me some description. We were brainstorming on something. And then you heard a voice that sounded, I think, an awful lot like me respond, sounds good, sounds great. And it's not me. It's actually ChatGPT responding back. And it was creepy.
How does that sound as a starting point?
Sounds good. Sounds great.
Especially when I asked, hey, did you do this? What's going on here? Nope, didn't do that. Could never happen. It's impossible. It must be your imagination. I'm like, no, it's here. I've got I hear it. I see it. So anyway, why am I sharing that? Well, I don't know how many of you are messing with these LLMs or AI, Gen AI, whatever you want to call it. But it can have these moments, profound moments. And then this one was super creepy. And I had to turn it off for a minute and think, what did just happen? But there are other moments that I also find profound and impactful in a different way. That was just super creepy. This way, there have been times, and again, if you've used it a bunch, you probably had these experiences where you might be asking certain questions, you might be explaining things, and you may think you're unique and special and all those things. And I'm not saying you are. Of course you're special. Mama said you're special, you're special. And I get it. I'm special, you're special, we're all special. However, when you begin to talk to a machine that has the kind of power that AI does, and it's connected to the entire world's knowledge base, and it can complete sentences, complete stories, can fill out what you're thinking before you do. Not always, and I get it. I get what LLM is, and we can certainly debate that offline, online, whatever. But I guess for me, it does strike me sometimes that, wow, some of the ways I think I'm special, some of the things that I think are special about us or me or you or whatever, maybe aren't all that special. Maybe it's more algorithm driven or environmentally influenced or biases and whatever that we all have. And I think this could get super meta and go down a religious, philosophical, mythological, whatever. It could go down a lot of different paths. But I think the point I'm bringing up is there are many ways where I think right now I might think I'm special or unique, and I'm not. And there are other ways that maybe I do bring a uniqueness and a value in exchanges with other humans that I might not realize as much. And so for me, those moments when AI, I remember one time I was explaining something I was struggling with, and I was giving it, and I got giant fat thumbs and hands. I'm on my phone. I'm typing this before the advanced voice mode came out, and I accidentally hit enter before I could complete my question. And I was putting this long narrative together, and when I hit enter, ChatGPT actually thought I was just starting a story, and it finished the story. It was a complex story about relationships and different things, and as it wrote the story out, it wrote my experience. And that was a moment that I can remember. I remember I sat down, I just immediately sat down, laid the phone down, and I just thought, oh my God, I felt so small in that moment. I was like, oh my gosh, this is something. And so those things that I may hold or you may hold that we think are super unique, they might not be. And the world's going to get more and more exposed in that way with LLMs. But there are things that I think are special. And I've tried over the years to focus more and more on things that I can uniquely bring. And, maybe some of those things aren't unique at all. But one of the things that I've landed on, and it's why you're hearing my voice right now, I've landed on flourishing and the focus of flourishing and sharing that with others. And so that's why I'm sharing that with you here. I'm actually not super comfortable talking about me and things I've done and been through. I don't necessarily think it's all that impressive and all that special. I also am so concerned with showing up and sounding like so many of the other, professors online and different stuff that you see on social media and stuff. It's just stomach turning. And I hope I'm not getting there. And if I am, that'll be a problem. Well, I'll end soon if that's where we think I'm going. But there's just a lot of garbage out there and a lot of self-serving stuff. And that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to share genuinely the things that I've bumped into that I think might be valuable to somebody else for their flourishment. And so that's where we are today. And so when I look at, go through these experiences with LLM or whatever, these kind of profound moments, it makes me double down on making sure I'm being as authentic as I can in my own existence. And you know what? Some of that might be scripted and algorithmed from the world around me. Who knows? I think I want to buy this thing, but I don't know. I've been programmed for years maybe to buy it via all kinds of advertisement and marketing and whatnot. But flourishment feels real. It feels deep in my heart, in my soul, in my whatever, right? Again, to the metaphysical side. But I think to flourish solely without that sharing for me isn't flourishing. And so I do want to share that with you all. And that's why we put this together. So it's around this holiday season, and here in the States, it's Thanksgiving, and it's a time for family to get together and be grateful. And we talked about that on the last recording. And obviously then you have the Christmas holiday and the New Year's and Hanukkah and whatever holidays you're celebrating around this time. It's kind of a cool time of year to connect with one another. And yes, I get it. I roll and all the challenges. There's sometimes getting together is rough. And, it's also sometimes a very bitter moment, bittersweet, but maybe sometimes more bitter for some of you because there's ones we've lost. And remembering around these times, it's tough. But that loss is the balance of the connection that we've had with those individuals, and thinking about connecting further with the individuals that are still around is kind of magic to me. So I may not know you, and you may not know me, and you may dial into this episode and into what we're doing and find value, and I hope you do. And that connects us in some way, and that's a genuine sharing, and that's a genuine flourishment for me. So that's why we do this. And I think there's lots of ways we've talked about flourishment, what it is, how it plays out, and I think it looks differently for each one of us potentially. But it is, when we talk about flourishment, remember it's really loosely translated from the Greek word eudaimonia. And, all the scholars, maybe I'm pronouncing that wrong, and you could take me to task on that, and that's cool. But from my experience, I think when I look at that, flourishing is a pretty good response. I think of a flower in full bloom. I think of a runner in full sprint at their most glorious. I think of a sunrise, a sunset, kind of things in their most glorious, a full moon. It's all those kind of things that you could put together. But I think it's important to note. For me. I don't think it's a destination. This is the old memification of success is not a destination, it's a journey. And I think that's real though. I think flourishment is a state of being, not so much a destination. And so even in some of our roughest times in life, we might be flourishing. In some of the hardest times, blood, sweat, and tears and everything else in the struggle may all be part of that moment of flourishing. And so it's not about whether we're happy today or sad today or struggling or not struggling. It's about are we genuinely being our best self and doing the great things and I think in living it in that unique and authentic moment for you or for me or for whoever. And I think that's magic. And so that's why we're here. We're here to share some of that. And I think again I've said share a bunch on this recording. And that matters. I think for me to do this by myself and not really share it with anyone probably doesn't feel like flourishing to me. So here we are, my arm's somewhat twisted in putting this stuff together in hopes that it's of value to you and hope that you can, add this to your quest for flourishment and it's helpful. And so with that, I would also ask, as we've been putting these out, as you can see, we've tried different things. We're kind of popping things out there, but so many of you have come back with some really great, thoughtful and kind comments about how it's been beneficial to you. And some of you have some constructive comments and different ideas and all those things. And I love it all and I appreciate it all. And I guess today, if you found anything we've done to be valuable, I just ask that you share it. Share it with someone who you think could benefit from it or could enjoy it in some way or on their path to flourishment. And maybe this in some small way gives them some extra help in their quest. And so that's just it. I mean, I'd ask you to share it and let's have that authentic thing that still is ours at this point, even though you'll likely be using some machine or some internet or some way to share these things. That's okay, right? We'll use the tools, but let's connect in this way. And so again, I'm grateful, just like I mentioned in the last episode. I'm super grateful for so many things in my life, but I'm actually grateful for doing this and so many of you reaching out to me and with great feedback about how this is helpful. And you've encouraged me, and I've appreciated that too, because this isn't always so easy to do. And so many, the ones that know me and know that. The ones that don't, may I probably pick up on it. I probably said it a million times every recording. But thank you for the encouragement. I'd love to hear any ideas you have for what you'd like to see in the future, or what you'd like to hear about, or anything. But today I'm just asking you to share Flourishing with Alex Reneman as a podcast, share the articles we have with someone you think might be helpful. And I can tell you, again, we're not looking to convert any of this to some kind of dollar. It's just not that. That's not what this project's about. This initiative for me is purely about sharing what I've learned, the lessons, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between, that it's of value to you. And if it is, I'll just simply ask that you share this with someone who you think might be interested or might find value in it. So just one person. You can share with a ton if you want, but just think about somebody. If you're listening right now, that this person might appreciate it, send it to them. And let's see. And also, if you have any ideas or things you'd like to hear me talk about, which even just asking that or phrasing it that way sounds pretty arrogant of me. Who would want to hear me talk about it? But I'll shut Frank up for a minute. And I'll just say, yeah, you go ahead and send it in, and I'll be happy to engage it. So I guess at this point, I hope you're having a great holiday season. We'll be back next week as well. We're going to keep these going through the end of the year. And in the meantime, until AI replaces us all, I hope you're flourishing wherever you may be.